Alhamdulillah, wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadi alladhina istafa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran gives us lots of different advice. And we will notice all the advice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, it is to guide us away from that which is incorrect and help us to go towards that which is beneficial to us, not only in this world, but definitely in the hereafter to come as well. There are two things that I want to share with you today. Number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about success, and the other, He talks about failure. And you and I also have a definition regarding success and failure. And success may be graduating high school, getting employed, having a family, for some getting a car, or getting the latest cell phone. In each of these examples, in getting what you want, you may view as success. However, you and I can both agree that the thing that we are getting is very limited. That is why we need upgrades on phones, upgrades on cars, upgrades on homes. So already we are seeing that success, in the way in which we have defined it in human terms, it is not absolute at all. And likewise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about failure, or things that get snatched away from us. When it happens to us, it's like the end of the world. My car got smashed, my cell phone got stolen, my house crumbled. May Allah protect our homes. But in the grand scheme of things, we realize just as there is so much more to success than what we have right now, there is so much more to failure out there than sometimes the little discomfort we face. So Allah is saying in the Quran, for example, وَلَئِنْ أَذَقْنَاهُ رَحْمَةً, or for that matter, وَإِذَا أَذَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنَّا رَحْمَةً ثُمَّ نَزَعْنَاهَا مِنْ, etc., etc. From all these ayah we are learning. When Allah says وَلَئِنْ, Allah is saying to us, and perhaps, and if only, meaning that don't get caught up in your given situation. It doesn't mean don't appreciate your current situation, or don't develop from your current situation, or for that matter, ignore what you are going through. No, absolutely not. What we are going through, when we are going through it, it is a reality. It's taking place for a reason. And generally, it's taking place so we can better relate ourselves to not only our environment, but better understand as to what got me in a given situation and how can I use it to make me a better individual. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran is giving us advice on how not to view our current situation as absolute in nature. Because as we know, Allah is absolute. Our situation can never be absolute. Allah's mercy is absolute. Allah's kindness, absolute. Allah's generosity, absolute. Allah's beauty, absolute. There is no limit. That's why Allah is called Allah. So when we get caught up in our situation, then perhaps we are looking at it maybe marginally as absolute. And if you're going to look at your situation as absolute, just go back 20 years ago, how did you look? 10 years ago, how did you look? 5 years ago, how did you look? Currently, how do we look in comparison to those years? And now we realize our looks are not absolute. Our health is not absolute. So if Allah is absolute in everything, isn't it only fair that we begin to reflect more and more on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Whether it's our responsibilities towards Allah, our acts of worship towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because my brothers and sisters in Islam, one thing remains for sure. The more we realize the greatness of Allah, and the more we are able to realize that how limited we are in relationship to Allah, praying doesn't then become difficult. Worship becomes at that point easy. There was a kid that was telling another kid something very, American, especially American youth have a very unique way of getting a complex situation or complex statement in a manner that is very, very easy for the other to understand. So as I was having a similar talk, one guy goes, he says, I don't know what he's really referring to. And the other kid goes, what he's basically saying is, don't be full of yourself. And I got a shock. I said, is that what I'm saying? He says, yeah, that's exactly what Allah is saying in the Quran too. I said, how do you know that? He said, that's what it sounds like. Allah is saying, don't be full of yourself. And as I began thinking what this 7-year-old child is saying, that many of us at a much older age sometimes are caught up in situations, whatever those situations are, because we are full, perhaps a little of ourselves. And we have to ask ourselves, how can I be filled with the mercy of Allah instead, kindness of Allah instead, generosity of Allah instead, beauty of Allah instead? My brothers and sisters, once we start looking at things in this way, it's not that we will not enjoy life. It's not that we will not enjoy our families. But once everything comes in perspective, it is so much more easier to live life, appreciate life, and move on from one day to the next. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us understand that this world of ours is very, very temporary in nature. And the more we can understand this, and the quicker we can understand this, the quicker we will be able to focus on our true responsibilities towards not only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but also appreciate the good Allah has given us and share that with those that are inshallah less fortunate or going through the various struggles as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us and guide us at all times. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen.